of the city, the home of the Curryverse. Still haven't had one of those, but I'm joined here by Baker, and we're ready for... What round are we on?
Oh, we're into round 7 now. It's been it was the same in Lille. We thought it had been 1 hour, and it was round 9. Time flies when you're having fun. It's good to be back. How was the last game?
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah?
It really was an impressive performance from Ruby Amethyst, going second in a very long, drawn-out game, but able to take down Ruby Sapphire while going second, I think is really impressive. And Baker, the players are already sat down.
Ooh.
They're already starting to shuffle.
Love it.
So we're not far away at all from the 7th round starting.
Love that. No, I'm glad to hear that. Ruby Amethyst, Ruby Sapphire is often a very interesting match, and winning on the draw for the RA player, very impressive. I was having a look around the halls again and the top tables, and taking a chance to, you know, go and look at some of the vendor stalls and finally say hello to some people that I haven't had a chance to see yet. So lovely little break, but I am ready to jump straight back in to some Lorcana.
Yeah, seeing some nice shuffling skills on display from the players.
You like
here.
a good shuffler, don't you? It impresses you.
It does. I think I'm easily impressed, unfortunately. My shuffling skills, not so much up to
They
scratch.
have improved. I'm going to give you credit.
Thanks.
The first time I saw this man shuffle, he might as well have just thrown them in the air and gone, well,
yeah,
they're mixed up. But you have done a lot better, I will give you that.
I'm getting there, slowly but surely. I've learned the key thing is to put the bottom corners in first and then push through.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned.
Push through. I love it. By the end of the year, you're going to be Dr. Facilier.
I don't know about that.
We'll see.
I've also learnt that you're not supposed to look at your hand while you're shuffling, in case you're doing anything dodgy. I don't have that in my locker, but it's definitely
we don't want any of this going on.
No.
Like, oh, there's me Bucky. There we go. Don't cut it, mate. You can trust me. Love it.
No, absolutely. I'm hoping to see, looking through the top tables, there was a lot of Ruby Amethyst.
Yep.
There was a lot of Emerald Steel. But there was one player playing an Amethyst Steel deck, and I really hope that they can continue. That was my prediction at the start of the tournament, Baker, of what I want to... It was more what I want to win rather than what I think will win.
You kind of committed to it and then kind of stepped back already, but I think you're right.
I can take all the credit if I'm correct, and if I'm wrong, I can say, well,
I changed my mind at the last minute. It's fine. No, I actually think you're onto something again. Like, I think you did a really great job in that set championship that we played of showing the strength of that Amethyst Steel deck. I mean, you went completely undefeated, didn't even drop a game during that day. So I would love to see someone here do the same, if nothing else, but for you.
Ruben here, I think it's Ruby Amethyst.
Oh.
Again, very, very popular deck this weekend. I can see a Maui. That's some nice shuffling. See, look at that. That is a thick deck as well.
I think that's some triple sleeving going on there. Goodness me.
Or is it an 80-card deck, Baker?
Oh, you never know. It's 99 puppies. Are we finally going to see our 99 puppies? I doubt it, but I'm here to be proved wrong. But do we know what our right-hand player's playing? Did you notice anything there?
I didn't quite catch that one just yet.
Okie dokie.
But we'll be having a little look. Of course, 2-game format, so... Oh, look at that. That is something. I've never seen that one before.
We're making pictures. I love it.
I love it too.
What an artist. So Ruby Amethyst on the left-hand side. I'm very keen to say... We haven't seen a Be Prepared... Or I haven't seen a Be Prepared be played today. I'm waiting for the chance.
Really?
I'm waiting for the chance to burst it out, but they haven't given it to me.
Okay.
Also, we see some Sapphire Steel. Okay.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting matchup.
Yeah.
It's actually one I've had a lot of experience recently.
Go on.
Trying to help a friend out sort of when they've been preparing for this event. This is a very tricky matchup for Sapphire Steel on paper.
Yeah.
Now, it's definitely very winnable. But amongst the most popular decks, Sapphire Steel, for example, a great matchup into these Emerald Steel Diablo decks, but it can struggle a little bit against Ruby Amethyst. The main reason is the Queen's Castle. So Sapphire Steel, a lot of the time, I would expect to see at least 2 copies of either Rise of the Titans or Avalanche to deal with Queen's Castle.
For sure.
But if I was playing Sapphire Steel this weekend, Baker, I would have actually played 4. I would have played 2 copies of Rise and 2 Avalanche. So it's going to be really interesting to see. And that is a lot. I don't think that's going to help your other matchups at all.
No, but at least the Rise of the Titans is inkable.
Yep.
And again, you can find other uses from the Avalanche. We've seen things like Pride Lands and just the spread one. Yeah, I like the way you think, but we move into the first turn, courtesy of Ruben, who's going to ink a Brawl and no 1-drop. A lot of these Ruby Amethyst decks moving to a lower count of 1-drop, sometimes just Chernobog, sometimes Brooms as well, but nothing from Ruben there, who passes over to Morales. Who's going to play the Fortress Sphere and pass back to our Ruby Amethyst player. Oh, the Flynn Rider going to be inked straight away. Oh, because we've got another one. So this is what you were just talking about, the Queen's Castle, which is such a good card against Sapphire Steel. If the Ruby Amethyst player can go Flynn Rider into Sisu is quite often the regular turn 3.
Absolutely.
And then into Castle. That is such a difficult line for the Sapphire Steel player to answer. And I'll be honest, when I'm playing Ruby Amethyst, I quite like my chances into Sapphire Steel, just because if you're running a lot of cards like Tremaine and Be King Undisputed, you get around these characters like Ariel and Tamatoa. But we'll see what Morales... I'm sure Morales has maybe come up against Ruby Amethyst, so I'm sure he's got some tricks up his sleeve.
Bit of dice spillage on the table. They're in the middle of the table. I've not seen that one before, but I like that. Community dice available for both players.
Love it.
Fishbone Quill is going to put a card face down into the inkwell, but Morale's not going to make use of that ink. And this Sisu is going to be the highest strength card on the board, which does mean that this Flynn Rider should be gaining 3 lore to start the turn without even needing to quest.
Yep.
The Smee is currently at 3 strength. So I do believe that Sisu is more than 3 strength right now.
Yeah, I think with the amount of cards Morales has got in his hand, if he's got at least 3 cards in his hand, then the Sisu will have the highest strength. So that would prompt that 3 lore bump, and it's going to be maybe a couple of turns before Morales can even answer it. Maybe he's got a Storm Rage on he can find that would help.
Rabbit is down on the board. I think the player's just discussing this as well with the Flynn Rider.
Yes, I imagine that's the case.
Yeah, that is what's going on. I'm not certain, but I do believe that with the Flynn Rider that it's not a May. I think that it is. So I imagine because that's... We'll see what happens. Yep. We won't speculate. We'll just wait and see what the judge call is.
Yep, that makes sense.
For Morales, we did see that Rise of the Titans available in their hand, and it does seem like the lore for the Flynn is going through for Ruben, which I think makes a lot of sense to me, because both players just... I think there's also maybe using the iPads with some translations. That's the beautiful thing about being here over in Europe. You've got players speaking different languages potentially. And of course, you can use the Disney Lorcana app to easily access those cards in different languages to help translate. And that's jump up to 5 lore. So Flynn gaining 3, Sisu questing for 2. And yeah, as you mentioned, the Sisu Flynn combo, really difficult. Morales, I would maybe have expected to see Fire the Cannons, Baboom in their opening hand. Often this Flynn Rider can be more easily removed, but Queen's Castle's one threat, but so is Flynn Rider.
Yeah, that Queen's Castle, just so powerful. I think our best location, bar none. 7 willpower, 1 to move there, 4 cost inkable, 2 passive lore gain, and drawing extra cards each time. When you start your turn for each character at the castle, you draw extra cards. And we are seeing an Along Came Zeus in the hand, so we could answer this Flynn Rider if we want, but we don't have a way of singing it. We would have to just play 4, but maybe it's worth it because this Flynn Rider just puts so much pressure onto the board. Instead, we're going to see Tinkerbell come down, put 1 spread damage on all the opposing characters. So maybe looking next turn to challenge into the Sisu or the Rabbit and then put the 2 damage on the Flynn Rider. But and to be fair, this Tinkerbell with 4 strength, I think that levels it out. It depends how many cards Morales is holding.
It looks like 2 to me. It is 2. And what was interesting is the Rise of the Titans Baker going into the Inkwell. While it's obviously great, that's an inkable card, you're also giving a lot of information to Ruben there that this Queen's Castle might be quite safe in a turn or 2. Ruben doesn't currently have access to it. Friends on the other side being sung by the Rabbit is going to be drawing 2 cards, which can certainly help.
And this Tinkerbell looking to apply some pressure next turn. And with this, Mr. Smee, of course, all goods are going to quest for 2 each time. But yeah, we see a Lady Tremaine in Ruben's hand right there, which, as I was saying, is such a powerful card in this matchup for big threats like Tamatoa, and maybe we see the Ariel in here as well. And yeah, that's just really going to help Ruben control the board. But with these this Mr. Smee on the board, that does protect a Tremaine play at the moment. I don't think there's enough ink for it at the moment, but Morale's definitely going to want to play some extra smaller characters to keep himself safe from things like that. But Ruben extending a second Sisu onto the board, so that's a lot of quest pressure already. Maybe we need to see a Grab Your Swords from Morale's side of the field.
Yeah, the snake came through here, bouncing back Flynn Rider from the hand straight into the inkwell. And I love Ruben putting that Flynn Rider face up into the inkwell. This is something I really like to do. It was a rule change about a month or 2 ago. You're allowed to do this. Often, Baker, after a long turn, I'm like, wait, did I ink yet this turn?
Absolutely.
And by leaving that card face up, you can remember that I did, in fact. There's been a couple of times where I've actually wanted to ink, but I've not been sure if I've already done it.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It's definitely easily done. So I think also from a spectator point of view, it's just nice to see that card in the inkwell for a while. The Fishbone Quill exerted, and more ink for Morales.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a really nice implementation from Ravensburger, recognizing that it doesn't change anything about the game. It just makes everything a little bit more understandable for both a player and a viewer perspective.
There was the grab your sword you mentioned, Baker, as well. 2 damage to all the characters on the board. And then the Tinkerbell going to challenge Sisu. And Tinkerbell then, of course, can deal 2 more damage to the other Sisu. Huge power from this steel deck. That is what Sapphire Steel likes to do. Tinkerbell and grab your swords combining. No be prepared necessary.
And that has kind of changed the whole dynamic of this game so far. Just Ruben had such a dominant field, but now Morales with the power, and he's got a couple of items on board, which is going to help him fuel Flavisham and Tamatoa later in the game. So Ruben looking to catch up. There's that castle that would have been probably pretty nice a couple of turns ago. We're going to trade the snake into the Tinkerbell, which must feel pretty good. And is this potentially maybe a Queen's Castle turn, just because the Smee isn't going to be able to answer it straight away? Or we maybe see this Maui as being eyed up. A few options in the hand there. We see a Madame Medusa and a Lady Tremaine, so both of our ladies in red, or ladies in chairs. I know some viewers prefer to call them both. We're going to Inga Maleficent, a card that I'm a fan of. I know you're not as big as a fan, but I like the consistency. And down comes that Lady Tremaine, going to remove that Smee.
Yeah, Tremaine's starting to get a little bit of board presence for Ruben back. Did a good job to sort of even the board up a little bit there. Morales drawing 1. Still got a whole bunch of ink remaining. And going to be spending 5 of it for a whole new world. Both players discarding their hands and 7 drawn. And that's cards for Ruben discarded, which were pretty powerful.
Yeah, they were pretty good. I was just thinking how mad I am about that. I mean, the Medusa and the castle, it's not great to lose, but no be prepared. So we expect maybe 3 or 4 to still be in the deck. So that's going to be nice for him to have later on in the game. But yeah, fresh 7 for both of our players. And Morales still with some ink to use, I believe. He's going to exert that. Oh, maybe not. Not exerting the Fishbone Quill. The Chernobog's followers at the top, I believe, there. What have we got in this fresh hand? A couple of Chernobogs, a Fox. And does Morales have an extension he can make? Another Porpsicle comes down, so this is going to fuel that Tamatoa later in the game. Oh, and the Lucky Dime's on the board. I actually missed that completely.
Now the Fishbone Quill's going to come through. And it is now going to start getting Morales some value. They took that card draw there off of the Porpsicle first. I think the Lucky Dime Baker is actually the discard part.
You might be right.
I think it was in the hand from Morales before.
Yeah, well noted.
And then it's just been discarded. And this is definitely a game plan for Morales. Now that they've got the Fishbone Quill, the whole new world, drawing both players' cards, but that Fishbone Quill can continue to gain Morales some more some more ink every turn. And they can get in a position where Ruben might have 7 or 8 ink, but Morales could have potentially double that amount thanks to the Fishbone Quill.
Yeah, that's exactly what this Sapphire deck wants to do. Just ramp nice and high. And one more time, just for newer viewers at home, whenever we refer to ramp, we're talking about the accelerated process of raising your inkwell, playing cards like One Jump Ahead, Fishbone Quill. So, yeah, the Sapphire player, I apologise, wants to ramp up nice and high so he can make these big plays. The Lucky Dime that you mentioned in the discard isn't the end of the world either, because Tamatoa obviously could recycle those items. So that could still be online later on in the game. Little discussion going on here with the Tremaine.
Ruben on 10. Law for now, halfway there. On the other side, just 2 Law. Fishbone Quill back into the inkwell.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Is that 10 ink? Yep, so nice healthy pool.
And this Queen's Castle Baker, we mentioned it at the start of the game, is going to be a problem for Justin unless they can find something like an Avalanche or another copy of Rise of the Titans. Grab your swords and fire. The cannons comes through. Fantastic option for just 1 ink, dealing 2 damage. Cogsworth now standing alone for Justin, but the Queen's Castle gaining 2 lore. And whenever you've only got one character on the board, Baker, against Ruby Amethyst.
Doesn't feel great. Oh, look at this Bee King Undisputed, which can come down and just remove this Cogsworth. I feel like this castle may start to run away. Of course, Justin might have another Rise of the Titans that he may be able to find. But yeah, this castle is definitely putting into work. We see another Lady Tremaine come down, so that's going to be what gets rid of this Cogsworth, which can't be great for Justin. You want those 5-cost cards that you can sing Whole New World and grab your swords without using all your ink. Little flick through the discard just to remind what resources we've gone through. I see 2 grab your swords have already been used on Justin's side.
Yeah, I think particularly important in a Whole New World game where there's extra cards being discarded. And the Queen's Castle is definitely causing a problem here for Justin. Of course, Steel having access to lots of cards which can damage multiple characters at once. We saw that Tinkerbell grab your swords. But the Queen's Castle being a location is not impacted by those. 1 ink spent to move Lady Tremaine into the Queen. Lady Tremaine is the queen of the castle for right now.
She is sitting in that royal throne, and she's going to hope to draw some additional cards every turn, of course, along with the 2 lore provided. We're going to ink a Brawl. Down comes the Chernobog's Followers. Really nice, cheap character that is guaranteed, nearly guaranteed a quest and a draw, unless, of course, it's removed by a grab swords or something. But yeah, a nice character to throw down, and maybe we move that into the castle next turn. Maybe not. Maybe we just fire the cannons on it.
Fire the cannons, and another Whole New World played by Justin.
Oh, that's a hit. That is a hit that I know feels bad. A couple of Bee Kings and a Be Prepared. Those are really important pieces, but there's still more in the deck, so we'll see.
7 cards drawn for each player. Another Whole New World available for Justin. And this Fishbone Quill is putting in work. And look at that, the Whole New World has found the Rise of the Titans.
Excellent.
An efficient answer to that Queen's Castle. This is the second time, or the second copy of Rise of the Titans we've seen in Justin's deck. And it's absolutely aimed at this matchup. It's not doing much elsewhere. I think that's a Lumiere in Ruben's hand.
Lumiere?
Yeah, Lumiere.
Oh, I love it. The Lumiere, 2-cost inkable character, 2/2 stat line, and provides every one of your characters a +1 strength. Now, this has tons of utility. Of course, it just fixes math, so certain characters can now take out opposing ones, but it also keeps your certain characters out of range of things like Madame Medusa. Not relevant from Justin, but just expressing Lumiere has a really nice niche use in this meta. And we don't see it a lot, but I love it.
We do see the Rise of the Titans being played by Justin to remove that Queen's Castle, denying 2 lore from Ruben, as well as that card drawn by Lady Tremaine being in the castle. Lady Tremaine, of course, can quest for 2. The goat as well puts Ruben up to 13, and goats are the last thing you want to see if your name is Justin.
Yeah, 100%. This goat, the goat, you would say. 4-cost inkable, 4/3. When he enters play, gain a lore. When he leaves play, gain another lore. And of course that bounce package with things like Madam Mim Fox and Madam Mim Snake allowing us to bounce these cards. So this goat could certainly get us to the finish line. Tremaine questing for 2 as well.
Ruben just 5 lore away. I believe they still have an abundance of ink available to them as well. No characters on Justin's side of the board, so that Bee King Undisputed is not going to be of interest. But what might be of interest, it's a Sisu. I was thinking it might be the snake to come through here and bounce the goat back, but Lumiere unfortunately make it into the inkwell.
Devastated.
Goat back into the hand, and that means Ruben is now even closer to that 20 lore mark with a goat and a Madam Mim Fox in hand.
And this is check. That is game on board. The Tremaine and the Sisu can quest next turn to get to 20. So Justin is going to have to answer one of these characters to prevent Ruben from running away with the game. And, of course, the goat in hand, as you say, is certainly going to help get over the finish line. And Justin has a lot of lore to catch up on. But if there's any deck that can make those big jumps towards the end of the game, it's Sapphire.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, of course, with the steel cards, you can definitely try to remove an abundance of cards in a single turn here. Justin definitely up against it, but has an abundance of ink to work with.
I'd like to see something like an Along Came Zeus here to get rid of the Sisu or the Lady Tremaine. It wouldn't buy a lot of time, to be honest, because they're still, if you take out one of those, then they can still quest for 3, take them to 19, and Justin knows that Ruben is holding a goat, so he has to answer 2 of these characters right now.
Yeah, and there is a Tinkerbell, there is a Whole New World. Of course, that's going to cost you 11 ink, though. You're not able to sing the whole new world with Tinkerbell while she's still drying. Going to have to wait a turn.
Yeah, Justin just fumbling through his options here. I'm not sure what he can do to combat this. I think the only chance he's got really is to play that whole new world and try and dig for more, but would then maybe be able to play one more Grab Your Swords, which isn't going to be enough. Like I said, if we find a Zeus, we answer one character, but that's not going to be enough. So I don't know what Justin could do here, but I'm ready and willing for him to show me a line that can get him out of this.
Ruben feeling pretty confident, you would imagine, at this stage.
Are we going to see that hard pay 5 for a whole new world? Because as you say, if we Tinkerbell, then I'm not sure we have enough ink to do anything. We can play the whole new world, obviously, but then that's it.
Definitely a tricky position. If Justin could stay in this game, though, for another turn or two, they really can start controlling this board very, very comfortably. And then with that lucky dime, cards like Ariel, they can jump from 2 to 20 in just a couple of turns. Justin still considering their options.
And that Ariel may feel a little safer as well. We've gone through 2 Lady Tremaines, 2 B-King Undisputed. I think there's another B-King in Ruben's hand, but maybe Justin is thinking, well, there's less odds for you to have it, so... But we may not even get there. We're going to ink a Mr. Smee. We're going to pay 5 there, as I thought. We're just going to play the whole new world, and that's going to get rid of the Goat and the B-King Undisputed, and some more cards, but those are very good ones. And Justin is going to fish for 7 new cards and see if he can find an answer to these characters. A double Along Came Zeus would buy another turn, if we can find that.
There's another Tinkerbell in there. There's an Enchanted of some sort in the mixer as well. I think it's an Enchanted Bell Baker.
Oh, wow. The flex.
That is pretty cool to see.
I'm not brave enough to play my Enchanted. I know you are. You've been flexing your Tinkerbell that you got from Tim.
Yeah, Tim, who's a game designer, said, well, they're there to be played. That's what they're there for, right?
Yeah, I respect it. I totally respect it. You're a braver man than me. But no, I don't think there's an answer here that's going to be able to combat this. The Goat's gone, but Ruben could have drawn another one. I'm pretty sure that was the first Goat we've seen this game, unless one hit the inkwell, but we'll see. Justin may prove me wrong, and he may have a line to be able to deal with this board. And as you say, if he is able to drag the game out a little bit more, all it's going to take is some Ariel / Lucky Dime plays to make big catch-up.
Ross was mentioning in our last round as well, in a position where you know you're losing, it's also just worth playing it out and trying to get as much information about your opponent's deck as you possibly can. But Justin's still very much considering their options here, seeing if there's a way that they can do this. It's always more tricky with this amount of ink. You have more decisions to make. And, of course, a fresh 7 cards in hand to work with as well. Looks like 5 ink being exerted. Justin changing their mind, though. 1 ink being exerted, or not.
Or not. He's got clearly a couple of lines he's considering in his head. So what we're going to go with. Yeah, I did think there was 1 Grab Your Swords. Okay, so that's
2 damage to everything is a good start.
I think we've gone through 3 Grab Your Swords now by my count. So not sure if Justin is running the full 4. I think that's red. There's that Enchanted Bell that you were talking about.
Now, Bell's ability, she can quest for 5, of course, but also she's able to put an extra card into the inkwell each turn. And looks like Scuttle is going to be the card selected. And a Baboom comes through on the Tremaine. Look at all that time taken by Justin, realizing they could develop the Bell. I think they took the extra ink from Bell's ability, inking 2 cards from hand plus Fishbone Quill that turn. And the Enchanted is lighting up the board, Baker.
It is gleaming, but I think I just saw the Goat in Ruben's hand. Down comes a castle. We have 1 character on the board. Is it a snake? No, we've got the snake and the castle.
So the Goat's going to come through, putting Ruben up to 17, the double quest. And that's
I thought that was I thought that was game. So Ruben not really necessarily needing to play that castle there, but maybe he just felt like it. It was like, here's a castle. I like it.
Absolutely.
Very nice. So our Ruby Amethyst player coming out on top in game 1. As I said, I do think this is such a difficult matchup for the Sapphire Steel player. Like, again, you have these things like Tink Swords, which can deal with wide boards, but yeah, you just really struggle to keep up with the pressure that the bounce package offers, and then they can play Be Prepared, Lady Tremaine, Madame Medusa's hits things like the Beast Tragic Hero. So, yeah, it's definitely an uphill battle, but 2 very good players. I'm sure that our Sapphire player can do it.
Yep. We saw they've got the tools to do it. We saw a couple of Fire the Cannons, which can deal with the Flynn. At least a couple Rise of the Titans, which can remove the Queen's Castle. I think the thing is, really, if you're Sapphire Steel in this matchup, if you let the Ruby Amethyst player gain any early lore, either with Flynn or with the Queen's Castle, it's pretty difficult to regain control of the board again before they can get to 20 because of those pesky goats. I think if this game went on for 5-6 more turns, the Sapphire Steel player would be so far ahead in terms of ink, and they could really push on. If you were playing to 40 lore, I think Sapphire Steel would have no problem. But it's that early lore game, early lore gain Ruby Amethyst has. In this case, it was the Flynn Rider, and it's in other times it can be the Queen's Castle.
Yeah, just like Ursula's Lumineer's quest rules, questing to 40 would be very interesting, and I would definitely favour the Sapphire player if that was going on. But nope, just 20 in these games, and Sapphire player just couldn't get there quick enough. And as you say, this Flynn Rider at the beginning of the game just put on so much pressure. The Sisu having 4 or 5 strength, and just the Sapphire deck doesn't really have a lot of characters that can match that. The Tinkerbell is one, but really it takes a while to get there, especially if you miss the Fishbone Quill. So that Flynn Rider frenemy putting in an awful lot of work. But as you say, we saw a couple of Fire the Cannons, we saw one Baboom at least, I think. So the answers are in his deck. He just needs to find them on the mulligan. Let's see if he does so.
The backdrop of Rapunzel. It's so, I wouldn't mind one of those in my house, if I'm honest, Baker.
I'm not going to lie, I feel the same way. Or the stout-hearted Cinderella, or the Mickey behind us. I need it on my bedroom wall.
I'm looking at the opening hands. Ruby Amethyst, be prepared. Probably not what you're going to want to keep, but Queen's Castle as well as Sisu. A lot of these expensive uninkable cards like Madame Medusa and Be Prepared, you would imagine get mulliganed.
There's a temptation here to keep the Castle and the Sisu, because if you hit the Flynn, then you've got the full line. But if you don't hit the Sisu, then it's not the best line anymore, because Sisu now isn't providing that lore gain working with Flynn. And Castle on 4 is still a good play, but definitely going to want to see the frenemy in this opening hand. So we hopefully our right-hand player gets those answers he's got, Fire the Cannons, Baboom, etc. We shall see.
I wish I could shuffle like that, Baker. That is so impressive. It's effortless. It's absolutely effortless.
An experienced shuffler in our midst. We'll see if he can give you a lesson.
Yes, please.
Quite a simpler shuffle from our Ruby Amethyst player. I respect it. I totally appreciate that. But yeah, as you say, this Rapunzel, such a beautiful backdrop, as is this entire hall, really well decorated. I highly recommend to anyone at home, if you're thinking about coming to a DLC, think no more. Just do it. If you're in a position to, come along, check it out, meet more Lorcana players, and play and maybe win some incredible, incredible prizes.
Okay, Justin going first in this one. Ruben did go first in game 1. So Justin's definitely going to be fancying their chances a little bit more. Certainly a bit of an advantage for the player who goes first. It was Ruben in game 1. And now Justin looking to tie up this series 1-1 with both players getting that win and 3 points on the board. Ruben looking for a dominant 2-0. 2 wins would get them that 7 points, getting 1 bonus point.
And this Mr. Smee coming down for Justin. Again, we've talked about Mr. Smee being such a powerful card so much, and here he is again, turn 2. Going to be probably questing for 2 next turn. It's a shame that Ruben didn't get that 1 drop, which would have checked Mr. Smee from being able to do that, because obviously it does self-damage. And we see the Lumiere hit the field. Oh, I'm excited, Joe. I'm excited.
Yeah, so what's Lumiere doing, Baker?
Nothing.
Nothing right now. That's true.
Yeah, right now it is not doing a whole lot, I will absolutely grant you. I was just excited to see the candlestick on the board, okay? But later on in the game, it could absolutely make a difference, just given that extra strength that he needs to take out some of Justin's characters. But I think at the moment, it is checking this Mr. Smee. He can quest for 2, but would do 1 ping damage, and then the Lumiere could trade into the Mr. Smee, which is fine.
Yep.
It's fine. At least it's something to make sure the Smee isn't just running away with lore.
Yeah, Lumiere down on the board. Not a card I've seen played before. I'm pretty excited to see the impact it might have for Ruben. Can certainly help contribute towards the Flynn Rider frenemy. Doing the business, of course, in other matchups.
Well spotted.
It might also help play around Brawls and Madame Medusa, but of course, Justin not playing those Ruby cards on Sapphire Steel. Justin has the Smee down on the board, and as he mentioned, decides not to quest there. Perhaps wanting to wait until Cogsworth is down on the board for a bit of protection. And in comes Sisu, has 1 extra strength for every card in Justin's hand, and 1 extra strength thanks to Lumiere as well. That is a Sisu with a lot of strength.
Yeah, a lot of strength. Full willpower is very respectable. Stays out a lot of characters' range and questing for 2 on an inkable card. I'm a big fan of this Sisu Emboldened Warrior. I think she's very, very well statted. But yeah, to your credit, that interaction that you mentioned, I actually missed. Yeah, just boosting your characters a bit more so that Flynn Rider's effect can be online more often than not. But I think this Lumiere, where it has probably gained most of its value throughout this tournament, is against the Ruby decks, helping against Madame Medusa, the Sisu, which gets rid of characters with 2 strength or more. So in this game, yep, helping with the Flynn, but just keeping that Mr. Smee in check.
Double Whole New World in Justin's hand is not what you want to see. Doesn't look like there's any access to Fishbone Quill yet either. Of course, realistically, what Sapphire wants to do is play on turn 3 a Mickey Mouse or a Fishbone Quill, but Mickey Mouse is available. It's going to put the top card from the deck into the Inkwell, face down and exerted, jumping ahead in ink. And of course now, with 6 ink available for Justin, next turn we could see the Whole New World come through. But of course you'd rather be singing a Whole New World, paying 0 ink, than spending 5 for it.
Yeah, you got to think Justin would rather put down something like a Tinkerbell or a Cogsworth so that he can sing it on the following turn and get a lot more value. Just looking at Ruben's hand, we see a Madame Medusa in that. Oh, down comes that Queen's Castle. So there's 4 strength on Justin's side of the board that he could do. The Baboom can also target locations, so that would be 6. Isn't quite enough. We'd need to see an Along Came Zeus on this turn from Justin to prevent this castle from gaining any momentum. And I think Ruben ended his turn there with the 4 dice on top of his hand, just letting his opponent and us at home know that he's holding 4 cards in his hand, which we appreciate him for.
Ruben up to 3 lore. Justin inking. In comes the Tink. 1 damage to both of Ruben's characters, but not the location. Mickey Mouse is going to remove the Lumiere.
Nice.
And Mickey Mouse takes 1 damage back. And Smee trades for Sisu as well, I think. That is exactly what's happened.
Yep, love it. Nice.
Queen's Castle still on the board, but now Tinkerbell as a 6-cost character. Justin might be looking to get rid of, sing a Whole New World. They've got 2 available with that Tinkerbell next turn. Queen's Castle gaining Ruben 2 lore at the start of the turn. Ruben might be predicting a play of a Whole New World pretty soon. So the card draw for Ruben on this particular turn would not be very profitable.
No.
Not that many great options outside of the Rabbit, and the Rabbit is what Ruben decides to take.
Yeah, still going to go for that card draw. Sometimes you've just got to at least just make them have it, because if you're not drawing cards, they may find an alternative way to draw cards through things like Beast Tragic Hero. So Ruben just saying, I'm going to draw my cards, and if you play the Whole New World, you play it.
Oh, huge find from Justin. It's the Rise of the Titans, and then a Whole New World is sang. Getting rid of that Queen's Castle without having to sink in any damage.
Love it.
The Tinkerbell and the Mickey between them would have only dealt 5. So being able to clean that Queen's Castle up this turn and use your Tinkerbell and Mickey Mouse for singing and questing is a huge deal and a huge moment in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I think you had it right earlier when you were saying that you would have run like a full 4 count of Rise of the Titans, because it just seems so important in so many matchups. And you see the work it's done for Justin here.
Another one in the hand as well, Baker.
Oh, that's beautiful. These castles just do so much work. So Justin well prepped for them. We're going to quest with play a Mickey, get some more ramp, and quest with the other one.
And the Mickey Mouse is also really impactful in this matchup. Even though it doesn't look that impressive as a card down on the board, you usually just use it for its ability to ramp up in ink. But here, it's really helping play around those B-King Undisputeds, those Lady Tremaines.
100%.
However, Ruben is just 1 ink away from being at 7 ink.
And you know what that means, don't you?
You certainly do.
We'll see if it happens. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This Mickey Mouse, of course, they can sit there and quest, but the fact that it's preventing the Tinkerbell from being removed by those cards is huge.
Trying to have a little peek at Ruben's hand here. There's a Fox, there's a Medusa. I didn't see a Be Prepared in there. Brawl off the top. There's a Sisu available as well. Couple of brawls.
Yeah, not winning the... Oh, it's at the back. It is at the back.
Is it tucked away?
It is, most certainly. I don't know if you'd want to... I mean, it looks like a big board, but there's only 4 lore on the board.
That's very true.
So I'm not sure if I feel the need to play Be Prepared here. I think if any... even this doesn't sound great, but I'd rather just play the Fox or even Medusa for one of the Mickeys, maybe. Again, not a great use of it, but I don't think this is the time for Be Prepared. I think that's a bit too premature. There's a Maui here. There's lots of options to be able to deal with this. So Ruben may be going to hold it, but to be fair, he may think, well, you're probably going to play a whole new world soon and take it from me, so maybe it is just worth getting down, because then you can't sing a whole new world with your Tinkerbell. So maybe it is the play.
I think if Ruben still had that Queen's Castle on the board, they'd be feeling a lot better about the Be Prepared, because it would protect their castle. We do see Maui, as well as the Rabbit, challenging Mickey Mouse, putting it into the discard pile. Bit of a fight for board control as play passes on back over to Justin.
Justin's going to draw a card. Yeah, no, this has been a really good game so far. Both players know the lines. They know each other's decks clearly. And this Be Prepared is going to sit there until it's needed, unless it's discarded by a whole new world.
Hiram Flaversham drawing a couple of cards for Justin.
It's what he does best, our toy maker with the Artificer ability. A little quick check of the discard pile. Just let me see what you've gone through, especially when you've been playing multiple A Whole New World. Some of these cards in the discard pile never came into play, so you can be caught off guard by not knowing. But yeah, this Flaversham's such a powerful card on play, and when he quests, banish an item, draw 2 cards.
Ruben currently in the lead in terms of lore at 5 lore. Justin only on 1 for now. But we do know that this Sapphire deck can really explode in big lore in no time at all. Once they can get the Lucky Dime, the Tamatoas down, maybe an aerial. And on the other side, Ruben, not quite as explosive in terms of lore in a single turn, but does, of course, have those goats available. So if Ruben can start getting to around that 14, 15 lore mark, they can start stringing some goats together with the bounce cards to get to 20 out of nowhere.
Yeah, 100%. No goats at the moment, but you got to think we're going to build to them pretty soon. We see a Maleficent there, so we can draw with that. We're going to be...
Grab Your Swords came through there. Maui and Rabbit removed. Ruben drew a card when the Rabbit left play.
And the Mickey questing for 1. Taking Justin up to 2. Yep, very nice play to answer the board. And again, this Mickey protecting that Flaversham from cards like Be King Undisputed. But Ruben is holding a couple of copies of Brawl, I believe. So that's going to probably be an immediate answer to this Flaversham. Otherwise, Justin's just going to keep drawing cards with it, because there is another Porpsicle on the board. Madame Medusa is another way that he might want to take it, to also establish some board presence. So we shall see.
Justin hasn't had the Fishbone Quill at all this game.
You wouldn't think it, though, to look at the amount of ink that he's got.
Yeah, the Mickey Mouses have been putting a lot of cards into the inkwell, but the Fishbone Quill is often what you're looking for in this Whole New World game plan, because it's that extra bit of ink every single turn if you have the card available to do so, whereas Mickey Mouse is a bit of a one and done. Mickey Mouse, of course, though, still giving that protection from Tremaine and B King.
Yeah, I think Mickey's still super useful, but you're absolutely right. The Fishbone Quill is generally the way you want to go, because Justin wants to make these huge plays where they play out dime and then they play a character and then they exert the dime to gain the lore. So Justin definitely going to want to ramp up a lot higher than he is at the moment. Is that 6 cards in Ruben's hand? That's a big hand. We're going to quest with the Mickey, taking us to 1.
I think it's up to 3 now.
Sorry, to 3. My apologies.
Questing for 1.
Yeah, that's the 1.
And Justin now, of course, with an abundance of ink. There's a Rise of the Titans still waiting around. There is the Whole New World available as well. Of course, you'd rather be singing that than playing it.
Yeah. And the thing is, if Justin's only playing 2 Rise of the Titans, then that means he knows that if he... I was going to say if he plays a Whole New World, that might be it. But maybe that implies that there are more in his deck. We'll see.
Rise of the Titans does go into the inkwell, which is definitely a risk if you don't have an abundance of them.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel like that, as the Ruby Amethyst player, that would signify to me that you're playing more, because I've only used 1 castle. I don't know if any would discard. Yeah, 1 was discarded. So we've gone through 1 or 2. So, yeah, I'm hoping Justin has another answer to that castle. Down comes the Cogsworth Grandfather Clock, another 3 to play Mickey Detective for some additional ramp. And this means the Cogsworth next turn can sing a Whole New World, and then Justin can start to extend and make these big plays that he wants to.
So many Mickey Mouse. I suppose Mickey Mice in this case for Justin. We saw Ruben in the previous turn only play Medusa and nothing else. Looks like there are around 9 ink currently. Obviously, with that Whole New World, a lot of cards in hand still for Ruben.
Yeah, as the Amethyst player, that's what you want. You want to have all the cards. You want to have tons of options for lines that you can take. But, of course, you also always need to be aware of the opposing a Whole New World. which I've got to imagine Cogsworth is going to sing next turn so that Justin can rebuild his hand, make a big extension. Ruben's eyeing up a friends on the other side, but again, he may be thinking, oh, surely you're going to play the whole new world soon. Maybe just buying it up as ink.
Yeah, Ruben's also got a chance to challenge the Mickey Mouse that's exerted here. And then potentially if they could get through Tremaine and Be King Undisputed in the same turn, they could deal with Cogsworth that way.
For sure.
As you mentioned, there's also the option of Be Prepared. Not going to be able to brawl this Cogsworth because it does have the ward keyword, which means it cannot be targeted by Ruben. It's the Maleficent into the Inkwell. I think you definitely want to try and ink each turn when you're expecting another whole new world around the corner.
100%. And he may just be one. I think he may just eye this up now. Because you can't. He's probably kept it longer than he expected it to.
Yep.
So just a quest here with maybe he wants to sing the friend. No, he's just going to quest with the Medusa, taking up to 4 lore, and then I imagine this Be Prepared is just going to come down and just reset that field.
Yeah, and I really like the decision from Ruben. Obviously, we have the added benefit of being able to see the hand of Justin, and we do know that that whole new world was ready to go and be sung by Cogsworth. But here instead, Justin's going to have to spend 5 to do it. But the good news for Justin is they have 13 ink right now, which means they can play Aerial, play Whole New Worlds, and still have 2 ink remaining.
That is a lot of ink, Joe, an awful lot of ink. And this Aerial is putting on a lot of pressure. Justin definitely having more items. The Ruby Amethyst player not playing any items. Sometimes you see Spellbook, but I don't think we're seeing that in Ruben's list. So Justin's going to feel good that he's going to constantly have more items in play. But because he wasn't able to extend into a second character, has he ended his turn? Or is it he has ended.
It's back on over to Ruben.
So because we didn't see a second character come down, this Aerial is going to immediately be removed by the Be King Undisputed, I can see.
There's also a Tremaine in there as well, Baker.
Is that not a Medusa? Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's a Tremaine. Or is it? No, I think it's a Frenemy and a Medusa. You might be right. We'll see in a moment. Nonetheless, I'm sure this Aerial is leaving the board this turn.
Yeah, and that's as strong as Aerial is with her ward against Ruby Amethyst. There's just an abundance of these cards like Be King and Tremaine that can deal with her. And that's a big reason those Mickey Mouses can be so strong to play around them. And I think Ruben's decision to take this Be Prepared was very, very wise indeed. It didn't look like the most impressive play, but it was about to be discarded by the whole new world anyway.
Yeah, and obviously taking away the ability for Cogsworth to sing it, so Justin had to actually use ink. But there's the Be King Undisputed, respected, saluted. Going to get rid of that Aerial.
That's how you deal with a character with ward. You don't need to target it because Be King Undisputed, your opponent decides the target. And of course, Aerial, the only one available.
Yeah, super powerful card. Basically, Tremaine's ability on a song, which being a song, obviously, in the game of Lorcana, is really good because our characters can exert to sing it so that we don't have to pay ink. So, yeah, putting in a lot of work. And down comes the Chernobog's Followers and the Flynn Rider Frenemy. We know Justin is holding a Fire the Cannons, so I expect that's going to be an answer to this Flynn Rider, unless maybe he's got a different line in mind. But definitely doesn't want to let the Frenemy sit there and just gain 3 lore. At the same time, Justin may just have a character that's strong enough, a Tamatoa or something, to stay out of range. Yep, down comes the Tamatoa. We're going to recycle an item.
This is where Justin can really ramp up the game very, very quickly and start to put the pressure on. They're only at 3, but that can change incredibly quickly. So many items available. And Ruben only at 6 is very, very far away. Not going to be able to cross the line with goats anytime soon.
Yeah, and this Tamatoa, if we can get a lucky dime down on the board to join it, that, as you say, that's going to help him accelerate the game very, very quickly. So won't be able to play it this turn, doesn't have enough ink, and I'm not even seeing it in the hand. But definitely what he wants to build to. But does he have a second character he can put down to protect against another Tremaine or another Be King Undisputed? I'm not sure how many we've gone through as well. One at the top, we've hit at least 1 B prep because we saw it played.
Justin with 4 ink remaining.
But
an abundance of cards in hand. There's a Grab Your Swords, there's a Flaversham, there's some other options in there as well. So 1 more being exerted for another Popsicle.
Nice. Again, you want to build up these items. That's what Tamatoa does, gaining an extra lore for each item on the board.
Okay,
and down comes the Scuttle.
4 cards off the top. Is one of them an item? No, it's not. Scuttle misses.
Scuttle miss.
But the good news for Justin is that the Lucky Dime was found off the Popsicle. So Lucky Dime now available for Justin, and that's the card they're going to have been looking for to really start gaining that lore very, very quickly. And Scuttle is at least a character on the board protecting the Tamatoa from Lady Tremaine and from Be King Undisputed.
Absolutely. That's why I am a bit of a bigger fan of these cards like Scuttle, just because that extra protection against Be King and Tremaine.
And there it is. Another Be Prepared from Ruben.
It comes down. That's 2 we've gone through now. It was very well needed. And down comes the Chernobog's followers to follow up. Anything else we can do? I think we have 1 ink remaining. Nope, going to pass over to Justin, who's going to re-ready. How many cards is he holding in his hand, Ruben? I think he's still got quite a few.
Looks like 3.
Oh, sorry, I meant to say Justin. My apologies. Yeah, Justin with still quite a few cards in the hand. They're going to pay 6. Sorry, 7. I apologise for the Lucky Dime.
Yeah, the dime is now down, and I really like this decision from Justin to prioritise the dime. In comes Bell.
Oh.
And then the Lucky Dime on Bell for 5 lore out of nowhere. Bell costing just 4. So 11 ink spent on the dime and the Bell, and 2 more spent to exert the dime. And out of nowhere, Justin just gains 5 lore and suddenly takes the lead at 8 lore. Ruben now ties things back up, 8 lore apiece with this quest from Chernobog's followers.
But it hasn't been banished to draw a card, but we see the Lady Tremaine in at Ruben's hand. So that's going to be an answer to the spell. But like you say, the fact that we could immediately exert our Lucky Dime to gain that 5 lore, that is big. That is how Justin is going to catch up in this game.
This Enchanted Bell looks so good on the main stage here. It really, I don't know what it is, but it's just catching the light so well. I just can't take my eyes off it.
He's in love. He needs an Enchanted Bell.
I want one.
But yeah, this Tremaine can come down. And to be fair, there's a Medusa there. That's probably the better decision to play the Medusa on the Bell, because obviously Tremaine is just so much more versatile, being able to answer things like Tamatoa and Aerial. I keep using those as the main examples, but they are 2 of the bigger ones that the Sapphire deck has that Medusa will not answer. So maybe we'll see it. Down comes the Queen's Castle.
It was the Brawl in the end, Baker, to allow Ruben to play the Queen's Castle as well. Medusa, of course, would cost 6. The Brawl and the Castle together cost 7.
Yep, even better. Moving that Chernobog's to the castle. And do we have any more Rise of the Titans from Justin, or has he gone through them all?
Can't see one in there for now. But the thing is, with the Lucky Dime, now it's down on the board. Ruben doesn't have access to any item removal. A big weakness of the Ruby Amethyst color combo is their lack of item removal. Flaversham is going to banish a Popsicle and draw 2. Another Popsicle found. I didn't quite catch what the second was. But now Justin, every time they play a card and it's a grab your swords to remove a single Chernobog's, that's not something you see every day.
No, it really isn't. It seems like a really low value grab your swords, but maybe it's worth it for just denying Ruben that little bit of card draw. And is there a whole new world in the hand? Not that I'm seeing. Because that may be a reason that you would just do it, just because if you don't think you're going to discard it anyway. But I guess more than anything, just removing that character so that Ruben is not drawing extra cards per turn. And like you say, because this Lucky Dime is on the board, that threatens an awful lot of pressure. It's just going to take another Tamatoa coming down, and he'd immediately tilt the dime for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 items. Tamatoa has 1 lore, so that would be a 7 lore gain. That's a big jump.
It absolutely is. I think Justin here is just feeling very much in control.
Yeah.
And thinks the only way they can lose this game from here is by allowing the Queen's Castle and that Chernobog's to quest and then draw a couple of cards. However, the game has now gone to time, so we are going to be putting a limit on the amount of turns left. So there is officially a clock on the board. I do think that Justin, with this dime available, should be okay. But in comes the Medusa. It's going to remove the Flaversham from the board.
Goodbye, Toymaker. No drawing for you. And that is time just called on the round.
And the Queen's Castle has a new visitor. It's Madame Medusa this time that's the Queen of the Castle.
Our ladies in red really like that castle, don't they? And why not? It suits them very much.
It's a smash off the top for Justin. Not really what they're looking for. The Fortisphere finds Cogsworth.
Okay.
Really, Justin wants a card with bigger lore gain. for that lucky diamond. There's the Tamatoa.
There it is.
It was tucked away. I couldn't see it.
We're going to recycle another item, and then we're questing, I think, for 8 now, if my math is correct. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you know what? I'll let him play his hand out, and then we'll see how much it quests for.
Fishbone Quill comes through. It's game. Tamatoa. Ruben knows they can't stop the power of Tamatoa. Not a drab little crab anymore.
No, I love that. Just what we were talking about. These Sapphire decks can have these incredible comeback turns just through things like Lucky Dime, Tamatoa, Aerial, and that was a masterclass in how to close out a really close game.
I really enjoyed it. It's a really fascinating matchup.
It is.
You see Justin making use of those copies of Rise of the Titans, specifically aimed at this matchup, fire the cannons to deal with the Flynn Riders, and just that explosive lore gain out of nowhere once they stabilized the board. It was a real joy to watch.
Yeah, no, I agree. As I said, I normally feel favoured as the Ruby Amethyst player, but don't get me wrong, I have lost turns like that to Sapphire Steel a few times. If you can't check the Tamatoa or the Aerial with the Dime, then they can just catch up. And yeah, that was a masterclass in how to play out the game, because I did think the Ruby Amethyst player was looking pretty good at one point, especially when we saw that Be Prepared, wiped out the double Cogsworth, the Cogsworth and double Mickey. I did think from that point they were going to start to skyrocket, but that second Rise of the Titans put in so much work, and it goes to what you say earlier, maybe that was the call for this weekend, to just raise that count of a card that gets rid of the castle, which is your Achilles heel, really, as a Sapphire Steel player.
Yeah, it really, really is. It's such a tricky matchup for Sapphire Steel to win consistently, particularly when